Have I saved enough for my age? It's a question I've asked myself about 100 times, and if you're on the same boat, I'm sure you'll find this video very helpful. Very simply, I'll be presenting you with a series of numbers indicating how much money one should have at different ages, as in what should be the size of your portfolio in your 20s, the money you should have in your 30s, when you're 35, in your 40s, 50s, and so on. Now, I'm sure some of you are thinking, how can everyone go on a single scale? It's a very valid point. After all, we have different incomes, our expenses differ, we have different habits, lifestyle, retirement age, goals, etc. Which is why I'll suggest you don't look at this video as a financial or a retirement planning calculator, but instead treat it more as a tracker or as a marker that can help you recognize if there are any glaring gaps in your savings/wealth building schedule. For your benefit, I'll be attaching the relevant worksheet in this video's description. So please do examine that, work on it, and let's begin. Let's start with the 20s. So how much money do you think a 20-year-old should have saved? Abhi soch rahe ho kya? I mean, come on, there's obviously no number here, and if there is, then it's probably a negative number with many youngsters saddled with student debt. I remember when I had enrolled into MDI Gurgaon, as a 20-year-old, the fee for their full-time 2-year residential MBA program was then 3.15 lakhs, which is now some 25 lakhs. 25 lakhs is obviously no small change, so I'm guessing many 20-year-olds will be starting in the negative, but to flip the switch, it's also a great time to be learning and building some really good habits. For instance, start budgeting, your income on one side, your expenses on the other. Keep 2 months worth in an emergency fund, get a term insurance policy on the cheap, and do try to save 5, 10, 15% of your salary. The quantum doesn't matter here, and even if it's just 2,000 rupees a month, invest it. Just set up an SIP and start tracking how your wealth grows over time. What else? Get a credit card. This will help you build a credit score, which will be very useful when you later apply for a car loan or a home loan. But please be very disciplined about paying your outstandings on time. My point is, your 20s are like your foundations of financial success. But that doesn't mean you're off the hook, and like everyone else, you too will have to save a specific number, which I think should be, you know what, let me address that in the next section, the 30s. Alright, let's look at the first marker, and by the time you enter the 30s, specifically on your 30th birthday, you should have, or hopefully you'd have saved an amount that equals your annual salary. For example, say you're making a lakh of rupees a month, so that's 12 lakhs for the year. Which means per our first marker, you should have saved, or you should have a portfolio of 12 lakhs or more at the age of 30. Of course, this is a generalized assumption, but it's a good place to start because now we have an income number, there's an initial corpus, which is 12 lakhs in our case, and to this we can have additional variables such as the rate at which your income grows, bole to annual increment. The savings rate you can manage, which I think for most households is between 15 and 30%. And then there's the percentage at which our portfolio might grow, which I've assumed at 10% in our calculations at all times. Now, specific to life in the 30s, I'll estimate annual increments at 12%. That is a 10% pay hike and maybe one decent jump from a job change. The savings rate can be quite a range. But here I've settled for 20% since the kids are still young, and in many households, the husband and wife are both working. And finally, there's the portfolio return, which I've taken at 10% given the fact that you'll have some money in PPF, EPF and similar fixed income instruments, and also some in equity. So as an average, I went with 10%. Now here's what happens in the worksheet. Firstly, the income is increasing every year. So from 12 lakhs at the age of 30, we're up to 33 lakhs by age 39. Then the annual savings are up from 2.68, so 22,000 rupees a month, to 55,000 a month, and this number factors in inflation and everything. And thirdly, there's a definite growth in portfolio value. In fact, please recall when we started at the age of 30, the ratio was 1:1, so 12 lakhs of income and 12 lakhs of savings. At the age of 35, this ratio is almost 2:1, which means while the annual income is 21 point something, the portfolio is almost 42 lakhs, and by the time you're 39, your corpus is even higher and at 2.7 times your annual income. Of course, wealth generation will never be a straight line, and although I've assumed 10%, it's likely to range over 50 and minus 20% over the long run. In fact, let's extend this to mutual funds, and one's likely to see periods where the NAV of your favorite schemes are down 10, 15, even 20%, a bit like how it's happening right now. Now, assume a scenario where you need money urgently, say 20 lakhs. One option is to redeem your MF units, but then you realize the scheme's underlying investments are still good, the fundamentals are strong, the growth prospects look promising, which means you really don't want to redeem the units prematurely. So that's the problem. You need the money urgently and you don't want to redeem your units. And this is where a platform like Yenmo comes in. Yenmo is a loan against mutual fund platform that makes the process of receiving, managing, and paying back the loan super efficient. A Y Combinator backed company, Yenmo's entire process is 100% digital, right from the eligibility to KYC to pledging of units, the dispersal, and you can even extend limits and manage your loan from the app itself. With two of India's biggest NBFCs as its partners, Yenmo offers attractive interest rates at just 10.5%, which is a lot lower than what a personal loan charges. Also, unlike a personal loan where a monthly EMI needs to be paid, you can make do here by just paying a monthly interest, thereby giving you better control over your cash flows. There aren't any foreclosure charges, no prepayment fees, and if you're lost somewhere, you can always connect with Yenmo's customer service team. For more details on how these loans work, please do check out this previous video of mine. Presently, many who have watched that video have applied for this facility, and if you need that little push, as a special offer, Yenmo is offering a 500 rupee cashback on your first withdrawal transaction with them. Just use my code SNY500 to avail this offer, and as always, the link to this platform is available in the video's description. Alright, so we are on to our 40s, and I'm sure you'll be having a number of questions by now. Things like, should I include my EPF contribution within the 20% savings rate, or should I include my house in the corpus calculation and stuff like that? Now, honestly, there are no specific rules to this, so it's completely up to you. But I can probably say this. Try to be mid-range if possible. That is, don't be too conservative or too aggressive with your estimates. This exercise is a quick way to gauge whether you're on track with your finances or not. And I'm hoping this result would act as a catalyst for you to take more action and start saving some more. Okay, back to the worksheet, and we start our inquisition at an income of 36.6 lakhs and a portfolio of just over 1 crore. So again, let's start with increments, and for the 40s, I've taken it at 10% per annum. I hope that's fine. I've knocked the savings rate as well to 15% to make space for your children's growing requirements and aging parents. And thirdly, there's annual portfolio returns, which I've left at 10%. We now run the same formula as before, and by the age of 49, the portfolio should be at around 3.7 crores. That comes to 4.3 times of the then annual income. Again, your reality might be a lot different to this, so do play with the worksheet, and if you have any interest in stocks, then do join my free email-based newsletter that currently has about 50,000 subscribers on it. The newsletter covers mostly small and micro-cap companies, so companies like Sky Gold, BLS International, Zaggle Prepaid, Deep Industries, Garware High Tech, Kilburn Engineering, Hariom Pipe Industries, and a few more. Do have a look at it, subscribe to it if you haven't done that yet, and also tell your friends about it. Alright, we now come to the 50s, and I'm guessing a few of you would be keen on ignoring this part, saying, I don't want to work in my 50s. And that's absolutely fair, a very wise goal to aim for, and hopefully you'll have your finances in place, allowing you the freedom to make that choice. Okay, so sticking to our worksheet, the expectation here is that at the age of 50, you should have a corpus of 4.3 crores, and assuming a savings rate of 20%, a salary increment of 8% per annum, and a 10% annual return on your portfolio, you should finish at a little over 16 crores when you finally hang up your active work boots at the age of 60. This gives us a portfolio to income ratio of 8. So 16 crores of corpus divided by 2 crores of income. And while researching, I was happy to see the study by T. Rowe Price, a US-based investment management firm, who came to a similar conclusion, although their study was based on US-specific variables and experiences. Okay, now I don't expect any of us to be actively working in our 60s, so why have this section? Well, this is where everything we have done so far is put to the test, in the sense that the 16 crores we have accumulated until the age of 60, we want to see how far we can stretch this number in our post-retirement years. Understandably, I've taken a few assumptions to prove or disprove this. Firstly, the amount of expenses, and if one notices, for the 60th year, we have assumed a savings rate of 20%, which means at an 80% expense rate, this comes to 1.6 crores. However, from the 61st year onwards, since the income drops to zero, it's fair to assume one won't continue with an expenditure of 1.6 crores, but would tighten up a bit, which per my assumption comes to 60% of the 60th year expenses, or 96 lakhs to be precise. So in the 61st year, there's zero income. I'm assuming an expense of 96 lakhs. And this expense will increase every year owing to inflation, which I've assumed at 7% per annum. So 96 lakhs becomes 1.03 crores in the 61st year, 1.1 crores the next year, and so on. With regards to portfolio returns, I've kept it at the same 10%, and while our corpus net of expenses continues to grow for a few more years until the age of 70, thanks to inflation, the expenses do catch up, and by the time we hit the 82nd year mark, the money is all gone. Of course, I'm sure this person will exercise some judgment and prudence in terms of how much to spend, how long to keep working, how much money remains, etc. But I sincerely hope this exercise has given you some idea on where you need to be at different points in time. And to suit your own situation, do feel free to tweak the numbers and formulas in the worksheet. So to quickly recap our simulation, the real financial journey starts from the age of 30, by when you should have savings that at least equal your annual income. We've used very few variables in this exercise: income, annual increments, and initial corpus, savings rate, and return on investment, which makes this simulation very simple to understand and quite realistic to implement. And as output, we have with us different age and portfolio bands. And for anyone looking to retire around the age of 60, he or she should aim for assets totaling 8 times of their pre-retirement gross income. And if you can do more than 8, then it's all the more better. Once again, thank you for your time. Do like this video. I hope this was helpful. Subscribe to my channel, subscribe to the newsletter, and I'll see you very soon. Until then.